Are we live?
How are you?
How's it going?
Good to see you.
Hey, Jay. Nice to meet you.
Okay. Hey, everybody. Carm Capriato, Remarkable Results Radio. I'm live at AAPEX, and I would love to know from anyone who maybe is picking this up if we are live actually, and you could say something in any one of your venues, if it's YouTube or Facebook, give us a shout out so that we know we're coming to you live. We're at AAPEX 2021 inside of Repair Shop HQ, and we're inside of Joe's Garage. And if you could, Tracy, if you could pan around the room, we've got a whole bunch of great friends of the podcast here. And we're just looking, guys, put your headphones on so you can hear what's going on. And you may have to bend down to get the mic. And this is rough and rugged broadcast. Okay, we got thumbs up, so we are getting out. So great. So Malin's here, Frank's here, Eric's here, Scott's here, AJ's here. And hey guys, very, very interesting event down here at Repair Shop HQ. What do you think about it, AJ?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. This obviously being the first year they're doing this, but you really do. You get a chance to kind of go into a fake shop, right? Try out all the tools that you wish you had. Give yourself a chance to check out all the management systems that are out here, all the stuff that BG has. Neat concept, really neat concept. Been executed pretty well too.
What's that in your right hand?
That's beer.
Oh, wow!
That's what we do in the garage, maybe.
Yeah, that's right, exactly. It's closing
After a long
time.
day.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
We're in Joe's Garage and we're having a cocktail.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Well, good to see you here, AJ. Scott, flip over to Scott, Eric. Well, let's do what you can.
Okay, we'll make it work. As long as you can hear me.
Yeah, you're good.
We're good?
What's going on, man?
Not a whole lot.
He's got a backstory I need to tell you.
Go ahead.
50 years old.
50 years old this month.
Wife bought you a ticket to come here.
Yep.
How cool is that?
As of Friday.
Yeah.
So short notice.
Yeah, he didn't find out about till Friday, and he's here, and it's Tuesday. Congrats. Happy 50th.
Thank you.
Neat.
I don't feel 50. I probably look 50, but I don't feel 50.
No. Well, I don't. I look. Or no, I'm saying I feel. I feel 30.
It's better than 70.
Ask my back how I feel. Boy, I had spasms today. Eric, you're training tomorrow?
Carm, I am. Doing 2 tomorrow and 2 Thursday.
My God. I mean, you know how to do that unbelievable rapid fire training stuff right in a row, don't you?
Oh, I don't know about that. Just many years of doing it and got to give the client what they want. So we've done a lot of back-to-back stuff at Vision, Scott and I have. So it's play today, work tomorrow.
What subjects are you teaching?
Tomorrow, I am leading off with a scan data class. That's a case study class to help technicians more efficiently use probably the most powerful tool in their diagnostic arsenal. Gleaning the most amount of information with least amount of effort would be the modern scan tool. Tomorrow afternoon, I believe, is network diagnostics, U-codes, and diagnosing network and communication issues. And I might get the order wrong for Thursday, but I think Thursday leads off with variable valve timing. It's a fundamentals and diagnostic class, and close out with misfire, trying to teach techs a logical and systematic path to find a misfire.
We're draining you.
Actually, they're shorter classes than what we normally do.
Wow.
So in that regard, it's a little less hectic, a little less work on the feet. But we'll hopefully have a good turnout.
Thanks
I know
for coming.
AAPEX is Mark's gone whole hog and trying to get this up and running a little bit better than it was in years past, and we've had a couple of years off. But before, it was always onesie, twosie kind of class setups. And just looking at the lineup, they've got the trainer of all trainers, John Thornton, taught 2 classes today. Obviously, you've got management professionals like Mainland and Jeremy here. You've got different shop owners. You've got just a wealth of different information, not only on the pay side. And again, people were saying, I have to pay to go to this class. $25 is an infinitely small amount to actually pay for a modern automotive class.
Here comes trouble.
And here is trouble because the 2021 AAPEX Technician of the Year, Matt Fanslow, is in the house with us. So I defer, sir.
right on our stage.
right here in our shoe.
I yield the rest of my time to my constituent from Minnesota.
But before we
I don't have that much to say.
Whoa, I don't know. You're a podcaster now, so I'm sure. Hey, Frank Loitz, who's right next door in the bolt-on group from Wrench Nation. Buddy, how are you?
Having a lot of fun. Big shout out. I heard U codes, scan data, and deciphering it all. You know, we tell our clients, and you guys can relate, these modern day vehicles, I mean, we're talking millions of lines of codes. And I will say what is impressive to me is the level of technical education, as well as their coaches. Like you're in-house for sure, having a lot of fun. The thing about AAPEX that is really awesome is we get to do more one-on-ones. And, you know, we get busy. The industry is on fire. We get busy, and be able to slow that down and have all the one-on-ones is amazing. Thanks to Carm. You do an amazing job covering it all out here. And gosh, I can't wait for next year, to be honest with you.
I mean, God, Frank, in your podcast and in your live stuff, I mean, you're so wide in everything that you cover.
We do. I mean, we've got Dave Kindig to Magnus Walker to we're working with the Fast and Furious folks who are coming to town in tribute to Paul Walker, Cody Walker's brother and such. So our goal with our podcasts and some of the radio and TV stuff we do is really the lifestyle of it to hopefully entice some of these youngsters. We can't lose them. And so the more that we can share that journey like you're doing as well.
Please, I'm doing the business side of the industry. You're doing the lifestyle. But what you're doing as far as to entice, because the young kids listen to podcasts and they want that lifestyle piece. And if you can help motivate the high schoolers and the colleges, and especially the ones that are in college that are going to come out, who want to go to work for the dealership because I'm working for GM now.
Sure.
We have to do a better job as independents.
Yeah.
And through all of the stuff that we're collectively doing.
I got a tagline in my mind. I don't care who the guest is convince Uncle Louie. You guys have heard the old timers, Uncle Louie telling his nephew, no, you don't want to do this business. No, it doesn't pay well enough. No, they take you for granted. Those days are behind us. Yeah. Many great shop owners understand what it takes to not only pay well, but to have a culture. And we so need this now with the great education behind lab scopes and U-faults. My head's spinning, by the way, Eric. But yeah, I mean, that's the least we can do.
Eric, U-faults, right?
U-codes. U-codes and network faults. Communication.
Your middle name. Huh?
Yeah.
So chime in on
they're
that.
not me codes, they're you codes.
Yes.
The problem is you.
That's right.
Classic deference from Fanslow.
So let's put Malin in front of the mic. Frank, if you just could move over a bit and watch it doesn't tip over. Malin, you're doing some management training.
Yes, very excited about that because everything that these guys are doing technically, we got to make sure that our clients, our customers, know how difficult it is, and we need to get paid for it so we can continue to fix these cars. So I'm excited about being here. It's a great show. And I'll be honest with you, very optimistic. If you're not here, you guys missed something this year. This is a special show because there's more than enough time to get your questions answered and to talk to people. It's truly amazing what's going on here. So
look, we may be competing with something going on the stage over there. There's a cocktail party. I think we've all had they quieted the crowd. Isn't that cool?
Carm, there's no competition with you.
When Carm speaks, everyone else, shut up.
You're killing me.
my question is, why didn't you bring enough beer for everybody?
Yeah, that's, you know what, T. Sterling, this is
The age-old kindergarten thing.
Yeah, it's funny.
Get caught chewing gum.
Yeah. We're checking IDs, so it would have been tough.
I'm pretty sure I'm okay.
Hey, let's talk to Mark. I think he may have to go somewhere. Mark Bogdansky, the VP of Events for Auto Care. Come on in, Mark. He was on an earlier show as we were.
How's everybody doing?
Everybody's great.
He is the architect of all
Great.
this.
So, yeah, he's the architect. So if we're having a good time, it's Mark's.
And if you're not, it's Carm's fault.
It's my fault. Yeah,
That's how it works.
Right, yeah. Good to have you here, man.
Thank you.
Thanks
I'm
for all
good
the-
to have all these guys here.
Yeah. We're doing a live show. We're actually broadcasting live, and so tell me, it's day one. You've been here for probably a week,
Just
making
about.
sure everything's going right. How many more days after will you stay?
I'm leaving Saturday. It's not so bad.
Oh, it's not so bad. Wow.
The out is really easy. It's the in that's the problem. The out, everything goes away really fast. You ever watch one of these tear downs? Just knock everything down and throw it out. The out's really easy. It's the moving in that's the problem.
It's the moving in that's the
Moving
problem.
in.
Okay. Actually, I think if you were moving from a house, it's the same issue, isn't it? Okay.
I got to ask you a question because many, as the sentiment is here, pulling this off at Joe's Garage logistically, we've got exhaust tubes up, venting out.
Yeah.
What were some of the challenges, if I can ask?
I will say, so we've had this idea for a couple of years, right? We were supposed to do this last year. Who knows what happened? We've had this idea for a couple of years, and I was fully mentally prepared that in September, the building was going to call me and say, yeah, what the hell are you doing? Can I say that?
Yeah, you can.
You know, what the hell are you doing? Like, you're not bringing in live cars and an exhaust system. I mean, they had agreed to it, but I figured they just cancel all of it. But we went through the guys. I got to tell you, our show management company, all the back end stuff, they've been phenomenal. They came in, we repaved parts of the floor to allow the lifts to get put in. We put in an exhaust system that we're leaving up for next year, so we know it's going to be here for next year.
Awesome.
They're letting us pave more when we leave to be able to put in more lifts next year anywhere we want down here in this spot. So this is here to stay. This isn't going anywhere. We got 8 bays, and it's not going anywhere. We can't wait to see what we can do with it next year and beyond.
I mean, really, as much as this was a dream, it is now a reality, and it can get bigger. And I think, no doubt, it's going to grow. And we're just down below the main floor. I was up on the main floor.
This is, no. Stop saying that. I said it to you yesterday. This is the main floor.
Right.
I don't care what happens upstairs.
Here.
This is the main floor.
Joe's Garage is where
That's
it's
right.
at.
Exactly. No, he's exactly
No, this
right.
is
And here's why. Because we've all heard and we've all done this. The service professional is the top of the mountain, and we shouldn't be anywhere but the most prominent and important part of AAPEX. And so thank you for bringing this venue to the service side of the business.
it's funny because we started doing this, and I worked a lot with Carm with some other folks. They said, if you want to do this, there are a few people you got to make sure show up. You got to have the coaches like Malin, no kidding. You got to have the trainers like Eric, John Thornton, Mike Reynolds, some of the other guys. You got to make sure you have some of these key folks, and the audience will come. You build an experience like this, the audience will come. And sure enough, we're seeing people come in. It was busier down here than it was upstairs. That's why this is the main floor. Repair Shop HQ is the main floor. Service and repair community have loved it. We can't wait to see what we're going to do with it next year and beyond. It's been fantastic.
And what I think everyone needs to know is that all the trainers were vetted. I mean, you had committees. We looked at all the curriculums. We looked at the trainers, and you picked a great cross section.
I didn't pick it.
Well, I know you did.
No. But that's important though. I didn't pick it. The shop owners and the technicians, they picked the curriculum. They picked the trainers. They picked the coaches. They picked the classes.
That's right.
They picked the topics. I didn't pick it. I don't know. I
You're
don't know
right.
anything about this.
They were on the committee. They were on the committee to pick. So yeah, you're right. Thank you for that.
And I thought the CIA was an interesting take to make sure we were the right people to be here.
Yeah, I know. So, what are you here to learn here, Scott?
I'm here just wandering the show.
Okay.
No classes this time.
No, none.
Nope.
Do
Just
you
gonna
want
enjoy
to?
the
Do you
show.
want to get into one?
Possibly.
Let him walk around.
I've already seen all of Eric's, so I don't know.
Maybe Mark can get you into one.
No. You know what? Not everybody needs to go to a class. And if he wants to walk around and talk to the guys and see what we're doing, that's fantastic. Not everybody's got to do a class.
I have room for you in my class, Scott.
Sure. I don't think I've been to one of your classes.
Come on in, buckle in.
When is it? I'll be there.
Thursday morning,
Thursday morning.
2:00, I think.
That morning, and you are in Vegas if Thursday at 2 o'clock this morning.
I don't even know what day of the week it is. You know, I was here a week ago, and now I'm back again, and I went to Denver in between.
I'm glad I got the alerts for all the football games on Sunday, because otherwise I'd have no idea what day it is anymore.
AJ, what brings you here?
Yeah, I always try to make sure I come with a wish list, before I come out here, right? I'm like, all right, I want to, I need to get a new tire machine. So I'm going to go talk to Hunter, see what they got. I need to upgrade my management system. I got, we got Mitchell here, got TechMetric, you have others that are out here. So, and then also too, I'm always looking at the education seminar list, right? So took a class this morning about succession planning, which is great. Should always be on the back of our minds, right? So I've got 2 more classes that we're going to take Thursday as well. So yeah, I'm a full-on consumer. I'm the attendee, right? So everyone else here, trainers and other professionals. So I'm the ideal client, I guess you could say, being out here checking everything out.
So let's talk networking. I mean, to me, what happens here on the show floor between the classes is the power of coming to an event like this.
Agreed.
And they look around what's going on right here.
Yeah, I mean, really, I've met a lot of people that I haven't known. I've met a lot of people that listen to my show. Frank, you too, I'm sure. And it's just great. A big takeaway from this morning's keynote was it's just great to see you all in 3D.
I'd like to add something that's critical down at the service space. Many of us, I know, AJ, you'll go back. You've got your network of shop owners. One of the things that we can identify with is the true supply chain issues. And it's really unique. We forget that we have some great manufacturers. We have distributors, all of that, to be able to really dive in and get rid of the fake news that can ploy our industry, especially in the service space. I mean, I think the average technician, they want the good part, they want it quick, they want it now. Same with the shop owner, same with the service consultant. But the fact is, we're able to see and talk with the real. And yeah, unfortunately, yes, Long Beach has ships waiting. But it's the idea that we can take this back to our marketplaces and say, you know what, we do have a contingency. A, they're absolutely aware of it. And B, they're trying to do something about it. That's the bottom line. So that's what I enjoy about this. Is really parts rich, it's tool rich. It's getting that information and being able to share the true word of what's going on back to the service bank.
Well, and I think one of the things also, to your point, Frank, is when you get a chance to look somebody in the eye and talk to them about the problems you're having, and it doesn't matter what your problems are, whether it be diagnosing a car or getting a part or not enough cash flow, whatever it is, this is the opportunity to sit down with somebody and actually have a heart-to-heart conversation with them with your best interest in mind, because everybody's here for the right purposes. We're here to help the industry, and anybody that comes here sees that. All the trainers, all the vendors, we're not here because it's not really that much fun, to be honest with you. And it's expensive for us to be here. And it's not really profitable for us to do this, but we're here because we want the industry to grow. And that's why I think if you miss this next year or this year, you need to put on your agenda for next year right now and start putting $5 away a day if you have to be here. This is an investment. This is priceless to be here, and a chance to meet people and see people and feel the energy and watch our industry grow, because we're a powerful industry. We're a huge industry with a very small group of people, it seems like. Everybody knows everybody. And to be here to talk about it, and that's the power here. That's the power. You can learn a lot of things, but the power is this. Standing around talking. I mean, I've spent the whole day just meeting people and talking to people. Some of them I don't know. I just talk to them. I'm strange that way.
Hey, I see somebody new here. Michael, come over here. Michael Miller, CarMax, you live here in Las Vegas?
Yes, I do.
Do you know Matt?
Slightly. He's actually staying with us.
I broke the code. I saw you hanging with him.
I'm their new housekeeper.
Well,
Works very cheap.
will he wear an apron?
I hope not.
You think your back hurts?
Inside joke.
We have too much information.
Yeah, way too much. Hey, so yeah, come on, man.
So Mike, 3 years ago you joined us for our summit. You were on the panel and talking about 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 4 years, 3 or 4 years ago. Frank's been there. We always do a panel for the exhibitors. And we like to bring in, some of the techs to be able to talk about what they want to see. And a lot of this was born from what you talked about, and from what you talk about, and being able to see it. And I'm glad you're here to be able to see how we did this, because a lot of this comes from those conversations that we have with you guys. So thank you, and thank you for putting that up, so I didn't have to this week. But no, seriously though, this was, we had it like about 2.5 years ago.
We did, and I think what you're really focusing on is you don't look. Let's face it. You've got Madison Avenue over here that feels like this is the marketing we need for whatever industry or sector. But when you have the blood of the Matt Fanslows and the rest, the technicians, the shop owners, and you're listening, so that you can modify and make better. That's attendance. I mean, and then that's action. And so that's what makes AAPEX unique. And if you missed it, yes, 2022, we're already starting those hashtags right now, baby.
Bigger and better.
Yes.
So anybody have anything else? Matt, you haven't said hardly anything except that you're a maid now at Mike's house.
Well, I mean, I'm just trying to take it all in. I'm kind of surrounded by greatness here, especially Frank, because
You mean the frankness?
The frankness.
let me be frank with you about Frank.
We're all in this together. Grab the milk bucket already.
I want to do a podcast with him, and we're going to relate the music industry to auto repair.
That's a whole nother topic. We don't want to go there.
We can do it.
But it's the truth, Matt. I mean,
No,
you
I
deal
know
with
it
a
is.
lot of technicians trained by techs. Eric, you deal with a lot of technicians. When you can take an event that listens to, okay, what's next? Not so much trend, Mark. We sometimes as marketers, what's the next trend? When all we got to do is listen to our audience, listen to the industry.
Yeah, it gives you that chance to not only interact with the instructors, interact with the vendors. You might run into somebody that isn't a salesperson in that booth. They may have an active role in the development of that piece of equipment. And now you might have an in on an improvement or a completely different product. Where else do you get that? You're not going to get that in a Zoom meeting.
Oh,
No, you're not.
and then-
fact, go ahead.
Oh, and just to wrap up and build on what Malin's saying is that attending stuff like this is supporting the entities that support us. So coming out here and going to maintenance class is one thing, but coming out here, touring the facilities or seeing the whole expo, seeing the whole trade show, and then talking to him about it gives him more material, the ability to sit down with you and form a relationship that continues beyond just the show. It continues into the next show and the next show, not just, not to talk about other shows other than AAPEX, but there are.
No, and that's the thing. And Carm knows, it's not AAPEX.
Yeah.
I want every show in this space to succeed. This is not a winner take all. I want us to succeed.
Yep.
But I want every other show, and I've had this conversation with Carm a bunch of times. I want the other shows in this industry to succeed.
Yep.
I want to see training go off well. I want to see the vendors do well at other shows.
Yep.
That's what's important. Nobody wants to sit on Zoom calls anymore. Nobody wants to watch video training, no matter how great it is. The face-to-face meetings, I don't care where they are, whether it's Vision, ASTE, tools, whatever it is, they need to come back, and they need to come back strong.
Yep.
It's not just about this show.
Yeah, and it's such an organism of things that work together for the greater good, which is ultimately providing that service and value to our clients, at the shops. So I know that's like a really broad statement, but you can kind of see that snowball effect of I'm going to Eric's class, I'm learning about network, or in this case, you're talking about module communication errors specifically.
U-faults, baby.
U-faults. And that might lead me to a booth to talk about a scan tool or a scope or some test piece of equipment. And that leads me to go to am I the shop owner? Am I a manager? Am I going to my shop owner and manager and talking about getting this piece of equipment, which forces him to have a conversation with Malin and learning how to run a profitable business. And it's a snowball effect. It really is. And it should be.
Frank and I were talking earlier is we need to talk about next year's budget for equipment. We're going to spend $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 to buy equipment. We need to budget for that. We need to think about how we're going to charge the customer and get paid for it. But that all starts with the networking you get here. I can't tell you the number of times I have a client call me and go, I got a problem. And I say, I got somebody for you to talk to. Whether it be technical, management, leadership, HR, because of the networking that gets done at these things, there's always somebody that I can call on and say, hey, Frank, help us. And you know what? I always hear from these professionals in this industry is, what do you need? It's not about the individual. It's about how do we help the industry? And that's why I love these things. And I'll be honest with you. I like Zoom, but there's no energy like being live in front of a group of people and watching them absorb this, and the light bulbs go off when you touch them, as I call it, right?
All right, I feel like we need to hold hands.
Well, I keep using Malin as a freaking springboard for another thought, but he's really feeding me. If you get to bump into Frank in person,
Stop with the Frank.
I'm sorry, but it's the truth.
Your wallet.
And this is not blowing smoke up Frank's butt at all. This is the reality that you run into Frank and you talk to him for 5 minutes. You can't tell me you don't go back to the shop charged, ready to go, ready for the next week, month, year.
And wanting to learn how to play the trombone.
Yeah. Well, I got to say, it's absolutely mutual. Eric, there isn't a single class that you cannot teach without getting a vibe from your students that make you better, and that's what it's all about.
I would agree. I often say that I get as much as I give from attending not only classes that other instructors put on, but you have that symbiotic relationship with the actual student, and it's hard to do when it's on video. You can't really see if somebody doesn't get it. I am not a polished trainer by any stretch of the imagination. A lot of it I just go with, and I can do one class 2 nights in a row and they could be totally different about as far as the content would be the same, but I would say things differently. But if I used an analogy and I saw one person in the class kind of make that confused look, I would know that, okay, let me rephrase this another way. And as they said, the light bulb moment goes off where you see where it connects. And I have said many, many, many times in many of my classes, without being cheesy or candid in any way, shape, or form, training not only changed my career path, but it changed my life. I have met some of the finest people that I've ever met around these tables, at these places, networking. I have friends lifelong friends that I've sat next to in a class that put me up in their home, that picked me up at the airport, I know some of the finest people that work in our industry. And I've often said, if I won $1 billion, I would put out a reality TV show that would tell the story of my people, and nothing against All Girls Garage or Boji or anything like that. Or, people talking about putting a John Deere lawnmower with a 6X Duramax in it, but to tell the story. I mean, you look at some of the stuff on RPM TV and some of those things like that, and it is marketed for people who are not industry professionals. What needs to be told in more than a podcast way would be the story of the day in and day out of the hundreds of thousands of service professionals that work in this trade that have been hanging and banging parts for a long, long time. If you're an old horse like me, that are like a reality show, but to tell the story of people who are single parents, who ride on EMS buses, who are volunteer firefighters, who are extraordinary ministers, who are big brothers, big sisters, who are recovering addicts and alcoholics, who are people who, day in, day out do this job, which is a hard job. To do and to make it a career for 30 plus years, you've had to have some chutzpah to stick in this throughout some of the tough times. We are definitely in the brightest apogee of our career right now, as far as pay, as far as technology. And it's hard to entice young people into this, but I always tell them it's a hard job, but it's an honest job. And quite frankly, the one thing that keeps me coming back is the people that I meet. I get as much as I give.
It's incredible. And I will tell you, I've seen it. So I don't come from this industry, right? Like I do trade shows. It's totally different. This industry, more than any other that I've seen, care about each other. And it's not a matter of I need to make money so you don't make money. It's how do we both how do we both solve the problem? How do we both figure the next thing out? And it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. And it's something I haven't seen anywhere else. And you only see it here. And like you said, it's so much more vibrant in person than on Zoom. But it's an incredible industry for me to watch. I'm not even really part of it. I'm tangential. But it's an incredible thing for me to be able to come here and see this, because I see all of you guys networking. You guys, 2 different shops, different parts of the country, whatever it is. Like you said, you can call Frank, you got a problem. Frank's not going to, all right, how do I monetize this? And Frank, but other folks, how do I monetize this? And what I mean? It is all about helping each other out. It's incredible to see. It's just like you were saying.
It's an infectious thing once you have that networking opportunity. And I think way back when, to my very first conference that I went to was a lender conference, and I met my dear friend Scott Schotten, who's sitting next to me. And Scott was the one who actually first gave me my training opportunity to do a national event. And there's been really no looking back from there. And
You're telling me.
Does this mean Maitland and I can't do our zero-sum game class?
just some Kobayashi.
Yeah, Kobayashi Maru. Hey, Frank.
To expand on something
No, go ahead.
Eric just said was the average consumer doesn't know how generous our industry is.
Absolutely true.
And the number of things we've done to help people, clients fix their cars and didn't get paid for it. And we did it because it was the right thing to do, not because we expected anything.
Absolutely.
And that's what's missing. That's the story that needs to be
Absolutely.
told. As the front counter turns,
Yes,
your
sir.
TV show
Yep.
should be about the generosity of this industry. I have never asked anybody in this industry for help and was told no. You know, it's amazing. I'm so proud to be part of this industry for that very thing. And we just here for the right reasons. And that's the main thing.
And many of us as technicians have, like I drove a tow truck at one point. There's been many a times in the cold Midwestern, cold of the night, blowing and drifting snow. I went out and left the warmth of my bed and left my comfort of my home to go put myself in peril to help somebody out. I can't tell you the amount of times that it was Friday night and it was date night or something like that. And you heard the car roll in with a soccer mom and two kids in it with a flat tire. And like, you made the call, like, babe, I'm not going to make it. I'm going to be late. Kind of thing. And I tell my guys that work with me, nobody works for me, that in this industry, we make our bones every single day the old-fashioned way, and it is customer service. And it doesn't matter if you're talking about at point of sale, at contact, when the customer comes in, the service writer, it doesn't matter if it's the shop owner that, has 401k or something like that they add to take care of their employees for their retention. It doesn't matter if it's the technician in the back who has to stay late to get that job to go. So all of that runs smoothly. It's a symbiotic thing. We're all in it together. And it may sound cheesy, but as a team together, everybody achieves more. We have to have both halves, front office and technicians, to make it all work. And to Mark's point, a rising tide lifts all ships. I don't know that, anywhere that I've ever reached out for help for people that I have been told no.
Guys, by the way, thank you. Brilliant piece. And by the way, Frank, I think he posed you and I a challenge on how we can get the reality of our industry.
Don't steal my
out
idea
to the real
now.
world.
Pilgrim Studios, are you listening? Get rid of that fishing channel show you got. We got some real contact and natural organic conflict. It always comes out with a happy solution.
Yeah,
But I do want to say something, please, and I'll shut my trap. I implore those of you watching now in the replay, it's not good enough for us. We see each other often. Go to the South Side. Go to El Cajon outside of Chula Vista. Talk to our Middle Eastern community. Talk to our Hispanic community. Those folks are fixing cars.
Yeah.
We cannot forget. And when I say those folks, I'm just saying folks that are not here. So each one of you, grab 4 or 5 folks. Bring them. Get them involved. Because that's the way to do these things, and that's how we grow.
Thank you. Hey, let's let this next discussion bring us to the close. And that is, I heard a lot today about where this has proven how much we hated 2-dimensional meetings on Zoom and how important it is to be here in 3D. And we're not wearing masks, even though the minute we walk out the studio, there needs to be a mask. But no one at that cocktail party is wearing a mask. However, no, God, no, jeez, where's the mask police? But here's the deal: if we're here and we are here training, will training of the future be a combination of leader-led live or leader-led virtual? And Scott, I know you've got a training company. We have shop owners. We have a technician. What's the blend going to be like?
I don't know what percentage it's going to be. I don't think the virtual stuff's going away. I definitely miss the live stuff. Again, the point that came up earlier, the interaction and the communication, verbal or nonverbal, and the questions and things. It's just tougher to do virtual. But some people just can't get to these events. or they might have some training and they have to drive 2 hours on a Tuesday night or something of that nature. It's just not practical.
Or the
everyone.
crime that our shop owners aren't paying for training.
That too.
I think he's right. I think the virtual is going to wind up coming in for the people who just can't figure out how to get to these events.
There's that.
And there's always going to have to be some. We've learned we can do it. It's a pain. Nobody loves it, but it can be done. And to your point, if we want to be able to start reaching more people, we've got to go to where they are. And if they can't come here, then we've got to figure out how to get to where they are. It doesn't replace this. It just works with it.
Yeah, I don't think that it's solely can they get to it. It's also, we're talking about sheer volume of information to try to get to. It's hard to get all of that from instructor-led training and attending, at night or a weekend or whatever that may be, a big training event. Like, you can get a lot in a short amount of time going to those events, and you cannot put a value on the networking. It is invaluable. But the online stuff allows you to get the volume of information, and it's going to be hard to trump that. So I agree exactly what Mark is saying, that it's going to be a combination, and it makes sense.
Yeah, and I would agree with that too, if I could just step into that, because, for example, we're running that whole hybrid profile, right? The Group Training Academy is amazing. We've got that being a pronto shop. That's that value add that they have for that, which is great. And I require 40 hours per technician per year. Their tool bonus is tied to it, right? So there's an incentive for them to go in, get the training, get it done. But then also too, Garage Gurus is over here. That's an on-the-road, in-person technician training that's absolutely critical, right? Hands-on, like it's something that we're missing. So I agree that hybrid focus is needed, going forward. And yeah, I agree. This is an amazing event, but it's always going to be in Vegas, right? And geographically speaking, it can be a bit removed from where it should be in someone's backyard.
But there's also, I agree with the hybrid approach to that as well. The sheer volume of it that Matt spoke of is a good thing, but there are also options in your local hometown as far as like live training goes. Scott and I also have a company, shameless self-plug, for Easy Tech Mentors, where we actually do kind of the same thing the management coaches do, where they go into the shops and do a drill down and try to develop a culture, as like Bob Greenwood in the conversation we had here up in the upstairs in the booth there about creating the culture of learning in the shop. And a lot of shop owners have hard times filling top tier technician. I hate the letter grade associated with ABC tech or whatever. I think it's demeaning, but a lot of shop owners have people that have worked for them for a long time who are maybe not the highest skill level technician they have, but have tremendous potential because they're there every day. They care. They stay after when asked. They're a team player. And with the right mentorship, you can grow that talent and be able to do that. And that's really hard to do, I think, at like a Zoom level. When Scott and I have done this in Arizona and places like that, it was being able to have that physical presence to where we went 2 or 3 times and we were there. And all of a sudden, like, I know about, the technician, and I know his family, and I know how many kids he's got. And you make that personal connection. And I think that it's a hybrid system that a lot of it work, but that's also part of what the Garage Gurus do, but on a larger scale kind of setup.
You said top grade, am I right?
Top tier.
So what takes the place of an ABC? Any idea? Even though it probably doesn't signify knowledge levels, competency.
My problem with that is, how do you get to that? What constitutes you're the 1%, 2%, grade A, grade B, grade C tech? You know what I mean? There's no official stamp testing you can do on it. I'm sure Matt can agree. Like, when I heard Matt say, I'm not one of the top 1%, I'm like, you're out of your mind. Like, if that's the scale, I'm like top 50%.
I think it would be rough to qualify, because I don't know what it means. You can have somebody extremely good at their job, which is taking it apart and putting it back together. And it's the most complex taking it apart, putting it back together. Engines, timing chains, transmissions, whatever. Are they considered an A-tech versus the quote-unquote diag tech who really doesn't take anything apart? But they're the more, if you will, cerebral, for lack of a better term. That's the only thing that pops in my head, is the more cerebral type. They have the critical thinking, the deductive reasoning to come to a solution or find the root cause. Well, are they the ATech? Or are they just, they're really good at their area. I don't know what other designation they really need. He's our heavy line guy. She's our diagnostic girl, whatever. I don't know if it has to be qualified so much A, B, C, and D, because I would be maybe A in one area of repair and C and D in others.
Took the words right out of my mouth. I was
Right,
going to say
and
the same
then-
thing. I might be an A diagnostic tech, but give me an alignment machine,
Yep.
I'm going to be a C.
And
I've
hope-
done 2 in my career, so
Yeah, hopefully management is trying to put me in the best place for me to succeed, which also brings the shop with it. I hope that's what's going on.
Well, and part of that with the management putting you in the right spot is because there's no definition of levels, it's a wild ass guess for them too. We think this guy can do this, and we've all met the technician that can't really fix stuff, but he talks the talk. Put your hand down. But one of the things I'd say to Mark is, it would be great if this show was done like a live TV show where all the classes were broadcast live while the people were in the room and available afterwards for the people who couldn't be here or can't afford to be here or don't have the ability to travel. Give them the best of both worlds, that hybrid, because I think you learn better in person, but we have to accept the fact not everybody can get in the airplane or car and come
If
this
I do
far.
TV shows for you, it wouldn't be called a show, it would be called a marathon. And it'd be 8 hours long.
I'm okay with that.
Right. So you're like forever. But like when it comes to technicians, I think I have at least a reasonable definition, and it is billable hours. So to your point, some techs are A capable in most areas, maybe B's or C's. But still, at the end of the day, your A tech is the one who's billing 50, 60, 70 hours on a regular basis because they're actually turning the most volume for you. So if they're doing it quality, right, no comebacks, and they're able to diagnose reasonably on most cars, I think you could call that an A tech. And you could call somebody who's in the 30 to or 35 hours to 30, 40 hours and not taking those same jobs. You could call that a B tech. Now, if you want to pick a different name, I understand. Maybe it doesn't sound good for you, but I think you could define it some way that way.
Now that we're going to have an interesting debate.
And by the way, they just dragged
Welcome.
me in here, by the way.
Yes, welcome Danny Sanchez from Auto Shop Solutions and a shop owner. Good to have you here, my friend.
Thanks for having me.
Any argument with this guy?
Well, one of the things that we have to think
take
about
the mic away.
is somebody
Not personally, no.
took the gag on Danny.
My experience has been not only my personal experience, but my experience with dealing with shops is usually the best diagnostic tech in the shop, in the dealership, actually makes less money than the fastest, most proficient mechanical technician. So like the guy who's banging out 3/6 timing chains all day long and can do 5, 6, 7 of them a week is killing it. And the guy who's like, hey, Jimmy did this, we've got this weird intermittent drivability. Those guys have to be paid at a different scale because they don't turn the same hours. So that would be my only bone of contention as far as billable hours, unless you're really in tune with the management side of things and saying, hey, my diagnostic root problem solving that Matt spoke of, that is twice of what my door is that I pay the guy that does the mechanical, the problem we already know. My wife once asked me, what's the difference between a mechanic and a technician? And I thought about it for a minute and I said, a mechanic may get a ticket that says, makes noise when applying brakes. He goes out, he looks, the front wheels are covered with dust on them. He has an idea, he pulls the car in, grinding noise, he pulls the wheels off, he sees that the rivets are into the rotors. He spent 10% of his time diagnosing the problem and 90% of his time replacing the parts and fixing it, verifying his repair. The opposite may be different for a technician who may spend 90% of his time chasing a parasitic draw that is something that has a babbling node on a module that doesn't go to sleep and removes the fuse. He spent 90% of his time in diagnosing it and 10% of his time in the actual removing the problem. So again, it's potato kind of thing, but just a caveat.
But and here's something to think about is in that example that Eric just gave, is the service writer is afraid to tell the customer how much it's going to cost to actually diagnose the car. So you don't get paid the billable hours for the time you invest because a service writer can't sell 5 or 6 hours of electrical diagnosis for a parasitic draw, right? So we're actually punishing the technician sometimes because the front office isn't charging the correct amount of money at either the correct hourly rate or the correct number of hours necessary. And so the technician gets shortchanged no matter how we rate them. So we don't have a simple fixer. This is a multiple problem of we need better trained technicians and we need better skill sets, but we also need the front office to be able to charge. I have preached for years and years on ad nauseum, I get it, Danny, about we need to get paid for what we know, not what we do, and we still lack that. We have the brilliant people, and we're billing an hour of their time, and they're spending 6 hours on some of these cars because we're afraid to charge what we should charge. When I crashed my motorcycle, I had one test that cost $10,000, and it wasn't that complex, but they could get that, and we spend hours on a car that we don't get paid an hour for.
Or if the test was inconclusive, you accepted it and you paid the bill.
Right.
Go to your lawyer, go to your accountant, go to your doctor, and see if they put 6 hours in on something and only bill you for one.
This $10,000 test, this was the diagnosis, right? Neurologist. I go in, he reads this thing, he says, well, and he threw out some Latin terms. And I said, all right, great. You can speak Latin. Tell me what it means. He goes, this is his honest words to me. You're getting old. And I said, no crap. I got 10 friends I buy them a 6-pack of beer who tell me that all day long. But you billed $10,000 for that. So, we need to think differently about our industry. We are not your father's Oldsmobile, as the saying goes, right? We're very different today, and we need to get on this that says we should get paid what we're worth and for the knowledge we have, not because we can take something apart.
So, and of course, this speaks to the larger problem that we have a shortage of techs. So this was not the chicken before the egg. This is the egg before the chicken. The reason why we have a shortage of techs at the moment is because we're not charging enough, because we're not respecting the amount of information that it takes to actually fix cars these days, because we haven't made those conversions over the last 20 years and putting those dollars into the bottom line where we can then pay our techs more. I mean, it's still a big conversation to say you have a tech that makes 6 figures. There's a lot of places that they don't. How's that possible? With the amount of knowledge and training and everything else that we have to know, how is that not possible that the best techs are all making 6 figures plus? That's a problem. And we're still landing here.
I want to bring this segment to a close. AJ, do you have any comments at all about this?
No, I love being the dumbest person in the room. It's great.
Thanks, man. Well, being a shop owner, I thought you had something to say. Matt, I want to kind of circle back to something you said earlier about the volume of training that we can get virtually and the 3D leader-led, go to a conference, be in the room. And I wrote down on that be in the room, I wrote down the intimacy of training. I wrote down the word intimacy, which I think happens when you're in that environment. And I go back to the power of networking that intimacy is part of. And when I first met Matt, and I had, Matt's been on my show over 40 times. He's got his own podcast now. The deal here is Matt said to me a long time ago, the power at Vision, for example, was at the bar.
Yep.
And you don't have to drink to be at the bar at Vision to network and shake hands and meet new friends and people and build that network of friends.
Yeah. The power's in this room. Just take away the microphones and the cameras. It's the same thing. It could be just outside these walls, just having the same conversations. We do it all the time. At other trade shows, specifically Vision, it happens a lot at the hotel lobby, or a group of you ends up at a restaurant having this same conversation. We just don't have cameras rolling and microphones on. And, again, Frank, you inspire me because seriously, listening to him talk brought up an idea, and I wish Mark was still here to hear it. Jim Linder for Linder Technical Services used to have an annual conference, and he had a contest on who could bring the most shops or who could bring the most other shops, right? And it was usually a competition between
and then Kentucky Master Tech.
Exactly. It was always a battle between those two, who could bring the most. And I like Frank's idea, going across the street, going 6 blocks down, and could you get a group of these techs, owners, all of them, to come with to an AAPEX and what could we do to kind of, I don't know, spice up the pot a little bit, or add a little bit of motivation of some sort. What, maybe it's recognition. I know Jim would do T-shirts, of course, and then training, right? They would load up the crew and go down to that facility and put on a training class. I think that was what went to the winner, I think.
Yes. And the other thing is, we got to give a shout out to the late and great Dave DeCourcy, who is a dear friend of this industry and probably one of the all-around nicest people I ever met at a training conference. We lost him way too early, so much like Harvey Chan, but he had a remarkable warmth about him, and he would always, when he saw you, would say, "Hi, honey," and he would give you this hug like it was your long-lost brother or your mother. And I'm here to tell you that Dave won. I met Matt Fanslow at Linder in 2003 or 2004. I met Mike Marshall. Mike Miller. I met Scott. And one of the things that Dave would bring these groups of technicians from, he was from Worcester, Mass, which is where Mike Miller's actually from, and he would pay oftentimes for technicians training to go to that event. What a selfless individual he was. That spirit lives on in a lot of us, and I agree with what Frank says, that like we need to not just be an entity of one type of people in our shop owners. We have all kinds of different people that fix cars. We have people that Scott actually we had at in Pennsylvania at Super Saturday. We had a gentleman that translated some of Scott's classes that he had done into Spanish. So like Spanish-led classes. There are very few trainers that are proficient in it. Luis Reyes was one that always comes to mind. There's a huge population in Southern California, in the Sunshine States or whatever, that speak, Spanish as a language more proficiently maybe than they do English.
Yeah.
And that's just another door. It doesn't mean that they can't repair cars as well. But in like where I'm from, in the middle of the country, you don't see that many people that look like that or speak like that. And we need to, a rising tide picks up all ships. We need to reach out to our fellow shop owners and to help raise the level of education in our industry.
And to speak more to Eric's point about Dave and Frank, what Frank's talking about, that it works. We don't need to name names, but there was a shop that Dave had lined up to come to a Linder conference, and they, not the last minute, but within a couple of weeks, said I can't afford to shut her down. And that's when Dave opened up his wallet and he's like, "I got it. Don't worry, you're coming." That same group still attends Vision to this day. So it works. It works bringing in those other entities, be it techs, shops, owners, whatever. And again, like Eric keeps saying, but it's true. The rising tide lifts all boats.
So let's sum this up. The people that are sitting on the sidelines that will listen to this, or someone will share this, or will take our story from here and tell it to other people. I think that's the only way we're going to take some of the naysayers in our industry up to a brand new and a higher level. And remember, the more of the struggling shop owners that we know, it's all about the profitability of the shop so we can hire great talent. The more we lift that next segment up, the higher the top people go. And that's the rise all tides concept. So what Frank is doing, what I'm doing, it's really, every once in a while you get a story told to you. This worked, this helped, I got a great idea. This story from this person changed my life and changed the trajectory of my business. And that's what we're all about. And that's what my buddy Frank does. That's what I do.
Here's a concept. Raise the labor rate $2 an hour, and that $2 goes to training in your shop. Grab the 10 shops, take half of them. I love the concept and idea. What's $2 an hour? $2 an hour. We're still profitable. Take $2 an hour, grab somebody, and turn them around.
How about $4 an hour? We use 2 for training and 2 for better talent.
Well, how about 6 or 8 or 10?
Say 100.
Amen. Sold.
Do I hear 120? Do I hear 120? Do I hear 120?
Sold to the guy in the lieutenant colonel haircut, right?
And on a production note, before you end, I think you definitely need a shout out to Tracy, who has done the excellent Steadicam with a webcam. I'm watching this. This looks like it's broadcast quality. Like somebody's phone started vibrating on the table.
Yeah,
she still was even doing the Steadicam, lifted the phone and did it all. So props to Tracy for a job well done.
Tracy just doesn't get enough credit for keeping Dad on track. My daughter, Tracy Capriotto, my content director, my producer, and she's been editing shows for me for 3 years. And so she's met so many people, and she goes, I know you, I've got to meet you. So, she knows your voices, but she's now meeting you for the first time.
Hey, Tracy, we decided you need a raise. So Carm's going to have to give you a raise.
Would that be the $2, $4, $6, or the $10 Fanslow rate?
$100 an hour.
The $10.
Right.
Hey, thanks guys for being here.
And
Appreciate
with the
it.
extra half of that $10, we could buy a tripod and a holder for the cam. So,
Right.
so this all got very organically done. That Tracy got drafted into this position. Very, like I always say, when we try to do live car or live demonstration, something always goes wrong. We started out with 4 cameras and 4 mics. We had 10 people in here. How are we going to make this go? Carm was a little nervous about this. He was slightly rattled as the clock went on. Tracy said, I got this, and like grabbed the camera and ran with it.
Every
So
time I try to do a 4-camera shot with a different twist or whatever, it never seems to work when we rehearse it.
amen.
Tracy's new nickname is TT, Tracy Tripod.
Very good. Thanks, guys.
Thank you,
Thanks, Carm. Thank you for the
Thanks
opportunity.
all of you.